Is the Brioso Widebody faster than the original? Does the car even need to be fast to be fun? Are these some of the best cars in the game? I'm going to tell you what I think throughout this video. It's the Brioso 300 Widebody versus Brioso 300 Weevil and Issi Classic, a four-way video. I haven't done one in a while, but this is going to be a good one. If you're freaking out about the video length, I don't know what to tell you. We got 4 cars, 3 tests each, handling characteristics, more performance info than you're going to get anywhere else. You'll learn to love me. If you don't, feel free to go back to those airport races. Running at the drag strip, we've got the new Widebody Brioso 300 on the left and the regular Brioso 300 on the right. We're going all the way to the half mile. What are we doing? I don't even know. We're going to the half mile today, which is long with some of these cars, but it's necessary, and I'll explain why. Look at that gap already. The Brioso 300 is quicker in a straight line than the original, so that's good news. If you're here to figure that out, well, guess what? I just answered your question in less than a minute. You're welcome. All the way to the quarter and half mile line, it's going to absolutely annihilate this thing. The Brioso 300 Widebody is awesome. Both of those cars are awesome, but I'll get back into that a little bit later. So what I'm going to do in this video, I'm going to put up the Brioso 300 versus the Brioso 300 Widebody, and then it'll be the Issi Classic versus the Weevil. The winner of each of those battles will take each other on in a final round, essentially. Now we're going to the 8th mile line again, and we've got the Weevil out to a slight lead so far. That Issi Classic has been changed a little bit. I'll talk about that as the video goes along, but we can see the Weevil keeps that gap, maybe extends it a little bit to the quarter mile. It's going to do the same thing on the way to the half mile. So Weevil's faster in a straight line than the Issi Classic, as we can definitely see here, and the Brioso 300 Widebody is much faster than the Brioso 300. So what does that mean when we put these two guys on the track together? These are two monster compacts. I'm going to say it, these are some of the best racing cars in history that you see in this video. You might think I'm crazy, but they really are. That Weevil, man, look at that. That is much faster to the 8th mile than this Brioso 300 Widebody. So as we look at the gap at the quarter mile, it extends its lead a little bit. It's going to keep extending that lead all the way down to the half mile. So we know the Brioso 300 much slower than its Widebody partner, but the Widebody can't really keep up with the Weevil either. You see the Weevil is at the top for a quarter mile, 8th mile, all that stuff, much quicker than these other cars. But the fun thing about this video, each car definitely has its own strength, so you got to stick around to see the full results. You're not going to know the full picture about these compacts if you don't. I mentioned some changes to the Issi Classic, and it now has that over rev stuff going on, so that might help it here. It actually hurt it at my drag strip, and it gets pretty annoying in certain situations that I'll talk about in a little bit, but it might help it here. As far as the original Brioso goes, I mean, we already know it's pretty slow. Not expecting a whole lot out of that car. The Weevil is one of the great compacts in this game right now. You'll notice I don't test it with full cambered out suspension. If you want me to do a video on camber and why I don't, let me know. Actually, I'd kind of enjoy that. But basically, if you have your car cambered out that much, it's going to really screw you up. So, big question. How fast is the new Widebody? Well, the answer is not very fast, but not many of these cars are very fast. It is a lot quicker here than the original Brioso 300, and we've got a new order with the Issi Classic on top, so everything completely jumbled up except for the original Brioso 300. So how much faster at my test track is the Widebody than the original? We're going to find out here. We're putting everything together that we've tested so far, kind of, on a super technical track. I'll add up a bunch of stuff, complicated math, and give you a speed score later on that'll tell you about overall performance, but you'll see here that Widebody much quicker to that first gantry. So while we're talking about the Brioso 300, because I'm not going to say it's going to catch up to the Widebody version, it's not, I'll tell you, it's a really fun car, and both of these cars are really fun. One of the things that makes them so fun is that they're really challenging to drive quickly. You get some oversteer, you get some snap understeer, you get all sorts of weird stuff going on in a car that doesn't have a whole lot of power, so it's fun, but it keeps you on your toes. If you're trying to do a lap like this at a track, it's gonna maybe take you a little bit. I think I did over 100 laps in the Widebody this morning just to get the perfect ish lap, and it's still not perfect. I think I can get another couple tenths out of it, but it's pretty good. But the Brioso 300 is a decent car, and it's fun, even though it doesn't even see the straightaway by the time the wide body version gets to the finish line. So now we gotta see who's gonna take on that wide body, the Issi Classic or the Weevil. And that battle and this battle are probably a little closer than you would expect. I mentioned for the Weevil I don't do the full cambered out suspension options for testing. I want to keep it realistic. When you have such a small compact contact patch on the ground with that much camber, you wouldn't be able to corner the damn thing. It would be absolutely horrible. So I can't get on board with those camber options. But you did see there it was faster to the first gantry than the Issi Classic. But now we're going to see that gap close as we come down here and go through the hairpin. The Issi Classic is so much fun, and to me, Issi Classic races are the best races in all of GTA Online. They're so fantastic because everybody's driving the same car, and it's just a great car to drive. It's still really close here. So that Issi Classic may be a little bit easier to corner than the Weevil. The Weevil understeers a little bit without all of that camber on it, so that's going to help the Issi Classic through this section here. And you're going to see as we get to this gantry, it's closed that gap pretty well. Unfortunately for that Issi Classic, we do know this Weevil is a lot quicker in a straight line than any of these other cars. So the drag race to the end, Weevil does come out on top. So now we've got Brioso 300 wide body versus Weevil here, and we're going to see which one can get to that finish line first. Coming down through the first hairpin, you're going to see they're really pretty even. And the Brioso 300, I mentioned, it can be tough to drive. It's not quite as quick as the Weevil to that first section. So what makes it so hard to drive? Well, where the Weevil understeers a little bit, the Brioso is on edge completely this whole lap. You're basically right between losing traction and keeping going. You can see through those two banked corners, though, it catches the Weevil. So now this thing, it handles really well once you get used to it. We're going to see if it can keep up from this point on. Going to that reverse start finish line, we've got the lead. So the Weevil is falling behind a little bit here. We know it's got more power, but the Brioso 300 wide body has the edge here through that tight chicane and this long banked right-hander. It's going to come out of there in front. But now we've got another drag race, and we know the Weevil is faster. We know that it's closer than the Issi Classic was last time. So can it catch up? We're going to see. It's not quite going to get there, but man, that is a really awesome, really close race. Completely different order again. Now we've got the Brioso 300 wide body on top with the Weevil under it, the Issi Classic under that. So that's why I've got my speed score. 3 different tests, 3 different winners, 3 different orders. What does that mean for overall performance? Well, I think the Weevil is going to be your top car here. The Issi Classic number 2. The Brioso comes in at number 3. So the Brioso is fantastic at handling tight corners. Absolutely great once you get used to it. Better than the other cars, but the other cars are better as far as top speed goes, and that really kind of matters in GTA when you're talking about Rockstar created races. This original Brioso 300, I already mentioned it. It's so much fun. The Issi Classic, one of my favorite cars in the game, to be totally honest with you. Because of that racing series, it's absolutely a phenomenal car. If you don't have it, I would suggest getting it. Those races can be a ton of fun. It's got such a unique handling. It's a really cool car. The Weevil actually kind of annoyed me when I was driving it because of that understeer. If you don't mind the crazy camber options, go for that. But if you try to keep it realistic like I do, it can be a little bit tough, especially around some long sweeping corners. Still a lot of fun, and you can actually wheelie in the car if you didn't know that, which is kind of cool. But this new Brioso 300 wide body is instantly one of my favorites in the game. It is so much fun. It's fast enough. It looks pretty good. I think you can actually take the spoiler off of it if you want to, because the default option has a big spoiler, so you can make it look like the real thing, and I failed at doing that. But it's a great car, and if you got it for free, you absolutely have to get the Benny's upgrade. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video today. If you're still here and you're not already, subscribe to the channel. Love to see you around more. Thanks again, and I hope to see you next time.